Hello guys, welcome to Software Jobs Training. This is day 3 of third week. So we were discussing the objects and now we are going to continue with the objects and see how to access the properties of the objects that we just created. Okay. So as in previous lessons we have seen that in objects we can store a collection of the properties about an object and its methods, okay, the actions that it can perform. So now we will see that how to actually access the properties of these objects. Okay, so if I go to my sample code and just scroll up, as you can see that we had created a object that had the name of the person and had a function to it, a method to it. Okay, so to actually access the properties of this and to show them on the screen, you will actually have to transfer this up into another variable. So I'm going to transfer this into a variable that says that person name is equal to person.name. Okay, so see here, person is the name of the object, and inside this object I want to access the name property of it. So I'll just simply say that person.name, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so this actually contains the value of John Doe. Okay, so first you need to write the object name and then you need to write the property name. Okay, and we are just transferring this into a new variable. Okay, and then we are showing it up on the screen using document.write that person name, and this shows up like this. Okay, so as I already told you that document.write is the JavaScript way of showing the output on the screen. Okay, to call the methods, to call the executing, for executing the methods, you have to write the same thing. First of all, you need to write the object name and then the method name, but make sure that you put the parentheses, these brackets after you write the function name, because this actually this is the right syntax for it. All the functions have these parentheses for sure. Okay, so make sure you take care of this, and as soon as you will call this function, dance function, it is going to show an output that says I am dancing. Okay, because this dance function is supposed to show up I am dancing output, and here you can see the output. Okay, so let us go to the next slide, and which is actually a skill assessment. So this is a skill assessment, so I'm skipping this up. Arrays are we have already discussed them in previous slides. So they are used to store more than one value at a time. Okay, so suppose you want to store a list of names of fruits or a list of names of people or pets or anything, so it is good to store them in a single variable that should be an array variable. Okay, you can do it the hard way. You can create multiple variables for that. You can create like dog1, dog2, dog3, and give them the names like toffee, Hershey, hello, or anything. Or you can use an array. Okay, so array, remember that array is actually a list of items. Okay, so there can be multiple values inside the single array. To create an array, I will put a name that says my dogs and initialize a new array. Okay, and remember that it has indexes to it. Okay, so in this variable, it actually starts from the 0 index, not 1. Okay, so the first item is actually on the index number 0. So on the 0th index, I have stored a name of a dog. Okay, and then on the index number 1, I've stored the second name, and on the index number 2, I've stored the third name. Okay, so my variable name will remain same. Okay, so inside the same variable I'm actually storing multiple values. Okay, so this is actually arrays. They're very powerful and they're highly used in programming. So let me just go to the next slide as we learn more about arrays. So to create an array, we have multiple ways. Okay, we can either create it in the regular method or the condensed method or the literal method. Okay, so in the regular method, we can just write the variable name and then initialize it using new array, and then specify the values corresponding to the index number. Okay, so starting from 0, 1 and 2. In condensed, this is actually the shorter version of the regular method. Okay, so first you write the variable name and then you initialize it using new array, and inside the parentheses of this array keyword, you can just put in the names of the names of the dogs that you want to store in this my dog variable. Okay, so these could be any values. So you basically do not need to store the you basically do not need to write up the index number and the variable name multiple times, right? And in the literal method, it is even shorter version of the condensed method, so you can just type out the name of the variable and start the square brackets and just type the names out. So to access this, it will be same as accessing the regular or condensed method, but literal is by most the shortest method to create arrays. So in regular method, it is pretty easy, as we discussed, that to write out the name and initialize an array, then put in the values corresponding to the index number, and to access its values, it is pretty simple. So just write out the name of the variable and write the array name and the index value. So suppose you need to pick up the name of the first dog, right? So the first dog is actually at the 0th index, so you will write that my dogs, which is actually the array name, and then you write out the index number, and then you can transfer it into a variable and show this up in document.write my favorite dog. Okay, so this will show that Toffee. So if I wanted to fetch out third dog, okay, so let me just get rid of this variable and simply type out the name of the array, my dogs, and then I just type the second index because that will refer to the third name. Okay, because it is basically starting from the 0th index, right? So my result will say that Skittles. Okay, so I'm document.write, I'm fetching out the third element, third name from my array, which is actually located at index number 2. So this was the regular method. By far it is sort of long, okay, but condensed method is actually a shorter version of regular method. So in this one, you just need to define first of all you just need to write on the name of the array, and then new array, it is same as the regular method, but while putting in the values, you can just put them inside the parentheses. So you can just put them in double quotes and separated by commas. You can just type them out, and they will be automatically assigned to their corresponding index number. So this will be index number 0, this will be index number 1, and this will be index number 2. Okay, fetching them up is the same, so you can just write out the array name and the index that you want to fetch out. Okay, on slide number 5, we are going to see the literal method, which is by far the shortest way to define arrays and put in values. Okay, so instead of parentheses, the only difference is that instead of parentheses, first of all, you need not to write the new array keywords, and you just put in the square brackets and you start putting in the values separated by commas. Okay, again, to access them out, you can just access them writing the array name and then the index. Okay, so it's really sweet and simple. If we reach out to slide number 6, which is actually a skill assessment, so good luck for it, and I'm gonna skip this up. And at last, we are going to see the functions. Okay, so in objects, we have already seen them in action. So functions are basically all the action that we can perform. Okay, so functions are usually it is like a block of code that you can run. All right, there are some predefined functions like alert functions, okay, or document.write is again a function, but you can also define your own functions, and for that you can first of all you just need to write the function keyword, and then a unique name for your function which is not already taken by JavaScript, so no keywords over here. Your name should be unique, so it is basically a write something function, so the name is probably adequate for it. And then you write down the document.write and you put in the text inside it. Okay, so it is important to call the functions actually, because without this it won't execute the function. Okay, so let me just get rid of this and try to run this code. Let me just, if I remove this section up, so I've cut it up, alright, and if I try to run this up, so as you can see that there will be no output because I've just declared my function, right? So we have already covered this up in objects actually. Remember, we had created a my car object and a person object, and we declared it, but we did not call it, so there was no output coming. So functions are not going to be running by themselves. Okay, so you need to write the name of the function. So the name of the function is write something, and then you make sure that you put the parenthesis. This is really important, and it should be ended by semicolon, and then you can see that output is over here. So functions are a block of code that will run it will run at a time when it is called. So it is good to package code in a function. So suppose you need to perform certain tasks, right? So make sure they're in a same function, and you need to call the function at the right place. So we are going to cover them up in upcoming lessons, and this will actually bring us to the end of this day 3. So thanks a lot for watching.